Gemar Tov. I'd like to begin my remarks today by saying how wonderful it is to be here in person with so many of you, and how blessed we are to have the technology at our disposal to bring services into the homes of those who are unable to join us in the building. Honestly, for quite some time now, I've been wondering if I'd have the dubious honor of being the only president in Temple Sinai's history to address the congregation solely over the internet. I'm glad it's not the case. First and foremost, I want to thank a great number of people. So much goes into the operations of this or any synagogue in what we used to refer to as a normal year. And lately, I'm not certain any of us can even remember normal. From dealing with COVID-related restrictions to tornadoes, oil tank removals, and the overall financial health of our congregation, our professional staff and dedicated volunteers have continued to impress. So let's start by thanking those within our congregation who have helped once again make our high holiday services such an amazing experience. Rabbis Wahlberg and Hollander, Cantor Shaw-Fox, your words and spirit continue to enhance our days of awe in the most meaningful of ways. Thank you to the Gabayim, Torah readers, ushers, and all other volunteers who make certain that our services run so smoothly. And thank you to the Levine family, John, Rachel, Jaden, Jillian, and Jocelyn, for once again brightening our sanctuary with the beautiful arrangement of flowers for our bima. The professional staff is, of course, the backbone of any congregation. Ari, Shira, Sydney, Edie, Marcy, Ellen, Richie, Sean, and Zakiya, thank you for working tirelessly on behalf of our community. The same holds true for our core of dedicated teachers in preschool and religious school. I also want to thank the Executive Committee, Board of Directors, committee members, and leaders of our synagogue arms, the Sisterhood, Men's Club, Chazak, and our school PTOs for your continued time and dedication. So much of what goes into making the operations of our synagogue a success often goes unnoticed. But please know that while your work isn't always seen, it is forever and always appreciated. A special thank you to our reopening committee, Dan Rosenberg, Amy Callinger, Michael Goldfinger, Matt Goodman, Beth Shore, and Jake Sitman. Your guidance in working with our clergy and professional staff has been crucial in allowing us to safely operate our preschool and religious school this year, not to mention our ability to safely resume in-person programs and services, including and perhaps most importantly, during these high holy days. As I look around the sanctuary, I feel blessed, and not just because of our ability to be here together, but because of what we've accomplished together. This past year, Temple Sinai banded together as a community and made a concerted effort to ensure our existence. And it wasn't easy. We revised budgets sometimes on a monthly basis, took advantage of PPP loans, and benefited from a combination of hard work and a little luck. But in doing so, we also became an example to other communities of how to offer meaningful programming, education, and worship opportunities during a time when being in this or any other building was impossible. We did, however, take some advantage of our time away from the building in order to beautify our congregation for this long-awaited return. With help from our sisterhood, we now have a stunning new chapel that can be used in a variety of ways for services, programming, classes, and lectures. With the help of Richie and his team, our lobby and auditorium now shine as brightly as this community. And the new carpeting and paint throughout the lobby and administrative wing are a wonderful representation of how we will work together to rebuild a new era in Temple Sinai's storied time. So yes, I feel blessed. But I also feel tired and sad and a little afraid. I'm tired because it's exhausting continually trying to plan for what might come next and worrying that every decision we make will be judged or misconstrued in some way. I'm sad because sometimes it feels as though no matter what we do, it just isn't enough. And I'm afraid because I know that if we don't continue to build upon the success we've enjoyed this past year, the congregation that my family has called home for more than 4 generations might not be here for the next generation of conservative Jews in the area. But fear isn't a bad thing. It can motivate us all to act. And we've learned that it's okay to be sad and tired, especially when we have a community to support us. And that is what Temple Sinai has always been known for and what we do best. Support one another when we aren't strong enough on our own, so we never need to be on our own. For many people, the past 18 months have raised questions about the need for being a member of a congregation, especially if we can watch services online and participate when it's convenient. The storm last week taught us differently, reminded us of what a community is all about, to be a source of strength and comfort for those in need, and to have a place that offers it to us when we are the ones in need. And today our need could not be greater, not just for individual homes and families, but for the survival of our congregation. And to survive, we must change, not our values or our mission to be a shining example of conservative Jewish life in this area. No, we need to change our culture. For many years, we've talked about creating a culture of giving, but we haven't. We've talked about altering our membership model to keep up with the changing environment around us, but we haven't. The talking has to stop. We must act on these critical changes now. At our annual meeting, I spoke about how for nearly 80 years we've been doing things the same way, and that the same ways that worked decades ago simply don't work anymore. Year after year, we get by, but we must do better than that, because if we remain complacent and satisfied with the status quo, we'll simply be left behind. Today's generation of families don't approach Judaism and synagogue life the same way our parents and grandparents did. We can either accept this and adapt to the realities of a new Jewish community, or stay firm in our existing policies and risk becoming irrelevant. But often the past is what lays our course for the future. Just the other week, amid the chaos of the storm's aftermath, we received a notice that a decades-old bequest to Temple Sinai had finally materialized. A cherished member of our congregation left us money specifically for the purpose of helping synagogue membership become more accessible to the community. What could be more auspicious timing? My hope is that bequest will become the cornerstone of a new dues and membership model, which I have asked our board of directors to put in place before the end of this fiscal year. Honoring the best of our past to ensure the brightest of our futures. What could be more appropriate for this congregation? But money never has and never will be an obstacle to being a valued member of this community. We've said this for years, and a new model can show proof of it for years to come. But a new membership model doesn't change our need to fundraise, now or in the future. Our willingness to dig deep for this congregation, for this community, has always been truly inspiring, and this year can be no different. The annual appeal not only ensures Temple Sinai's continued operations, it also enables those families to participate fully who could not otherwise afford to do so. Whatever amount you can pledge, large or small, you will help secure a personal stake in the future of our sacred community. Together, we will build and ensure our future. If you've already pledged your gift for this year, thank you very much. If you have not yet done so, I ask that you take some time in the coming weeks to reflect on how much our congregation means to you and the importance of our sustainability. I realize talking about donations in the wake of a tragedy is difficult and might even seem heartless to some. But the only reason our synagogue was able to be here to offer shelter and solace the other week was because of the continued generosity of our community. And the only reason members of the community were able to offer or receive help from one another was because we are here. So I'm neither ashamed nor afraid to ask. Please give when and what you can. But please remember, money is great, but time and energy can be equally and sometimes more important. Just ask those who had only to give themselves this past week and what that meant to so many others. But there's more to sustaining a community than money. There's leadership. Some people have written to me in recent months saying that they don't like the direction our congregation has taken these past years. And that's okay. I appreciate honest feedback. But what I appreciate more is action. If you want to see our congregation move in a certain direction or help plan for our future, then get involved. Join a committee. Join the board. Show up. Don't sit on the sidelines and wait. I don't know who the next core of leaders in the congregation will be, but I do know that if we don't generate a pipeline of leadership, and soon, then Temple Sinai will wither away just as surely as if we had no pipeline of revenues or contributions. As most of you are aware, we've begun conversations with our partners at Tifereth Bet Israel in Bluebell to determine if and how we can work together to ensure a cohesive, brighter future for conservative Jewish life in the area. Maybe those conversations will materialize into something tangible, and maybe they won't. All I can tell you is I truly hope that they do, not out of any hubris or personal gratification, but because I truly believe that our two communities have more that unite us than divide us, and that we share a genuine desire that the next generation of our community is endowed with the ability to carry on our shared faith, heritage, and traditions. And that is what I view as the fundamental responsibility that I have as president of Temple Sinai's board of directors, and that of the executive committee and board as well. We use the phrase fiduciary responsibility as a throwaway. But the simple reality is that each board member and officer of our congregation, not just the president, is obliged to make every effort to ensure the stability of our community, not just this year or next year, but for the 10 or even 20 years to follow. And that means we can, should, and will take every opportunity to explore avenues that can help us deliver on that responsibility. In the coming weeks, the exploratory committees from both synagogues will resume our dialogue. And as before, once that takes place, I will host another virtual parlor meeting for members of this congregation in order to share what we've learned, listen to your thoughts and concerns, and answer any questions you might have to the very best of our ability. I don't know what the end of this journey looks like, but I am hopeful that our two congregations will come together in a meaningful way, whatever that means, and that no matter what happens, be it as Temple Sinai alone or in some new blended structure with TBI, I promise that we will continue our journey as the beacon for conservative Jewish life in this area. Being president of this congregation has made me a better person. It's taught me patience and helped me learn to embrace a worldview from multiple, often conflicting viewpoints, but always with the end goal of the greatest common good for our entire community. Last year, during my Yom Kippur remarks, I asked your forgiveness for the mistakes that I had made as a lay leader of this congregation and for the mistakes that I would assuredly make moving forward. This year, I'm asking that we learn to forgive each other for past decisions and future plans, for petty arguments and spiteful feelings, for all of the slights and perceived hurts that have built up over so many years. If we can learn to respect one another and forgive one another, then maybe we can truly open ourselves up to a fresh chapter for our community, whatever that may hold and however that might look. I can only promise that I will work my hardest, along with a team of amazing lay leaders, professional staff, clergy, and congregants, to ensure our community has every opportunity to thrive in the years to come. On behalf of the board of directors, my fellow officers, and on behalf of my family, Shane and Caleb, I wish you all a Gemar Chatima Tova, and I pray that our congregation and our community are written and sealed in the book of life, and that we may all enjoy a life of health, happiness, and peace.